In the fall of 2016, the woman I was married to at the time and I got a call from her Uncle George. He was in town from Virginia with her Aunt Betty, and they were passing through town to see family and just, stopping along the way because he was retired and he had time to do these things. He was an Air Force colonel and had served in the military for 40 years. And so now they were bopping through and enjoying retirement. And then on a Wednesday night, they called us out of nowhere. Hey, we're in town. She's like, would you like to meet my Uncle George and my Aunt Betty? Oh, that would be great. I'm great at meeting family. So, I'd love him to know that his niece married okay. She divorced okay too. So, and so it was on short notice. We went to the finest sandwich establishment that you can go to in Gilbert, Flancer's, and so we're there, and they meet, and he seems every bit of what a retiree and an Air Force colonel would look like mashed together. He's buttoned down, but he's relaxed. He's got his wire rim glasses, but a wonderful smile. And it was really nice to watch my wife and her aunt and uncle catch up, and they talked about what the kids are doing and what the grandkids are doing and how everybody was doing. And then he got on the subject of, what have we been up to? And he really seemed very interested. And we had gone to Peru 3 months earlier and spent 11 days there. So what have we been up to? I got no better stories than that, right? So we start telling him about Peru, and you should know right up front that she planned the trip. It was 11 days, and you spend certain chunks in certain places. So the whole point was to go to Machu Picchu. So we spent time in Lima and time in Cusco and Machu Picchu, and then she planned 3.5 days in the Amazon jungle, and I said, no. I'm not going to do that. And I really steadfastly refused, and it went back and forth, but ultimately she won, and we went to the Amazon jungle against, I went under protest. And so we're telling him about Peru, and we're going back and forth. She's doing the play-by-play, and I'm doing the color commentary and adding the emotion to it. And we're telling Uncle George and Aunt Betty how we went to Lima and what a beautiful big city it is, and how I saw a dog walking down the street, a small dog, and it had a necktie on, and it had no owner. And it was just walking down a busy street. A bus stopped, opened up the door, people got on, and the dog got on the bus. I'm like, what is he like? He was going to work. It was crazy. And so and I remember that from Lima, and she told him about Cusco and all the sacred sites we saw, each one more sacred than the next. And then we went to Machu Picchu. And then we started talking about the jungle, and I told Uncle George how we went to the jungle, and you have to land in this really tiny airstrip at this small town, and the airport looks like it's used by mercenaries and smugglers as much as tourists. And then you have to walk on this plank out to this tiny long boat, and then you take a 3-hour boat ride down the Tambopata River, and you eat your lunch out of a banana leaf, and then you have to hike in another half hour to get to this resort that you're staying at. And then for the next 3 days, these tour guides would take you out 3 times a day and provoke every dangerous animal they could find. And it's 95 degrees, it's 95% humidity, and I already don't want to be there, mostly because of the dangerous animals. And I don't like waking up early, so I was telling them how we had to wake up early at 5 in the morning because it was so hot, and then how we had to hike everywhere through the jungle, and you had to watch out because snakes were coming from above and below. And then they were like, oh, don't touch that railing, that's a bullet ant. I'm like, what the heck? And so they would take you out at night, and then they would harass alligators, and they call them caimans there, and tarantulas. And then one time, the tour guide shined a flashlight on a thing, and he said, that's a poisonous dart frog, and it's the most deadly in the world, and if you get bit, you got 2 hours to get to a hospital. I'm like, it was a 3-hour boat ride. And I'm telling them, this was insane, and it was just so hot, and then during the day, you weren't supposed to move, and then at night, you would go out for another tour, and when again, they provoked, and how we had to go out in this pond, and it was all flooded, and then we had to row our way across, and then it started to tip, and then all the piranhas started to jump up, and I'm like I really liked Lima, It was casinos and it was fun. And so and I was telling him like how early we had to get up, how hot it was, and how the only satisfaction I got was that she was so miserable and she picked this part. And so it was like, oh. And I was like, and Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, they got it. I was telling Uncle George how they got it all wrong. There's no fun in games. You don't have anything you want. It's just miserable. And I'm looking up and I'm thinking, oh, I'm just so charming and I'm so charismatic that I sort of lost track of time. But I look over and I see that he's still smiling and I'm engaging him in this story. And I'm like, I think I'm making a good first impression. I'm killing it here with Uncle George, you know. And then he smiles that Big West smile after I told him our harrowing tale of being in the jungle resort. And he said, now try it with people shooting at you.